Hi there and welcome to this edition of Startup Central. I'm Nayanara. First up, here's wishing you all a very happy new year. This is the first episode of Startup Central in 2022. What did you do for New Year's Eve? Well, thanks to coronavirus and the new variant, gatherings were banned. Different states came out with curfews for different times, even for restaurants. Some states didn't allow restaurants to be open. The other ones said it has to be capacity. Nevertheless, most of us stayed home, right? BYOB has been replaced now by OYOs. Order your own Zomato, order your own Swiggy. And that's exactly what seemed to have happened with both Zomato and Swiggy, saying that they saw deliveries hit a new record, 2 million plus orders on each of those two platforms. India does love its food, doesn't it? It's a conversation we're going to be having furthermore today on Startup Central with Riyaaz Amlani, Kabir Suri, as well as Vishal of Biryani By Kilo. Thanks, guys. First up, Happy New Year to all three of you, your families, and all of your teams. I know all three of you might also be munching on a bit of despair given what's happening. Once again, it's the F&B industry which is taking it on the chin. So while, we're seeing a very sweet exchange of tweets between Dipinder Goyal of Zomato and Harsha Majetti of Swiggy on Twitter, you folks may have had a harder time thanks to the restrictions. I'll come to you first, Kabir Suri, because you are the president of the restaurant body, the NRAI. So when you see 2 million orders each being placed on Zomato and Swiggy, it also means, of course, a loss of business as far as in-dining goes. I think we've discussed all of this a lot more. So today, what I want to ask you is, do you folks now need these aggregators a lot more?
First of all, Happy New Year to you, Nayanara. It definitely was, unbelievable to see those numbers that were committed by Zomato and Swiggy. 2 million orders in one day is unbelievable. I think, with the pent-up demand and the consumption that was waiting to happen on that day and the restaurants being shut down and being limited on timings and what was allowed in various different states, we all had no other choice but obviously to focus our energies on delivery. A lot of our transactions obviously went through their portals, and a lot of our transactions are direct in nature as well. So it was a combination of both. To answer your question, are we dependent on delivery? Yes, we are. Delivery is becoming a larger portion of, I think, everyone's business. And I don't mean to speak for anyone on the panel today, but I think in most of our businesses, delivery is contributing to the revenue streams. I think delivery in general will never replace going out. I think delivery will fundamentally replace the number of meals we cook at home. And I think that's what we saw. We saw the people obviously chose to gather within their own boundaries and order in. And I think that's what we saw, and hence the explosion in consumption on those 2 days.
Riyaaz, coming to you now, what we've also seen when we talk about this 2 million order plus on both Zomato and Swiggy, they're not all originating from India. It's also families abroad led by the UAE. You've got UK also featuring in, US featuring in. That was a tweet that Dipinder Goyal had also put out. Once again, it just shows you the loss of business that was there for restaurants. It's also been a year where folks like you personally have been trying to talk a lot about direct order, right? Order direct. How did that do on New Year's Eve?
That did really well for us, Nayanara. More and more people are shifting towards ordering directly from their favorite restaurants. These platforms are really, really great when it comes to discovery, when you're unsure about what you want to order. You want to kind of decide once you open the app. But once you have built a very good relationship with our guests and our patrons, the people who know exactly what they want, from whom they want, they prefer ordering direct, because not only do they get a better deal, but they also understand that by ordering direct, they're actually supporting their restaurant. So we've seen, the order direct share is growing month on month for us by about 10 to 15%. So we are seeing, concentrated growth, and we are focusing a lot of our energies making sure that we build direct delivery and direct interfaces with our customers. So this is something that is growing. New Year's and Christmas are 2 days when people do celebrate a lot, and these are all festival days actually sees an uptake in delivery, regardless of cricket matches, football matches. When people are sitting at home, they do see uptakes in orders at home because people do like to sit at home. But I don't think that especially outside India, there was zero restrictions on any restaurants. So, for example, in Dubai, there were no restrictions. Parties went on all the way in the morning. UK, they refused to put in any restrictions. I was watching the match yesterday with Liverpool versus Chelsea. There were 65,000 people in the stadium, back to the rafters, not a mask inside. So this night curfew is a uniquely Indian phenomena that we are really seeing. So. Yeah, it's not so much outside India as much as it is in India. Yeah.
As I can hear the frustration in your voice, I can make out FNB has really
it
been
is
hit
frustrating
very hard
because
through the entire outbreak of the
there is
pandemic. I can hear the
absolutely no
frustration there.
evidence. Sorry, I was just saying that there's no evidence that night curfews help in any way, and these are pure optics. Right, that the government seems to be doing something, because when you say, night curfew, it gives the illusion that something is being done. But what night curfew effectively does, it puts so much pressure on public transportation so that people have to get home before that time. So that people are packed like sardines in public transport, and nobody really sees that. And that is actually causing more cases. In fact, if anything at all, timelines need to be stretched so that customers can be staggered. That makes things safer. By compressing timelines, by doing odd and even, it just doesn't make any sense. But it just gives the illusion that something is being done. And what is frustrating, Nayanara, is it is always the hospitality business that takes it on the chin, just optics. Right? And that is what is really frustrating for us.
I'm going to get back to that in just a bit, whether you guys are looking at other ways of disrupting this, because, the pandemic is here, unless, of course, Omicron turns out to be the endemic. Vishal, coming to you now, you've been on a tear. You raised $35 million recently for biryani. You don't have restaurants, you have kitchens, so your overheads are much, much better. You perhaps are laughing your way to the bank, unlike our other two panelists over here. But what I would like to ask you, Vishal, is that it seems like biryani was the hot flavor once again, the hottest thing on the menu. That's as per the year-end reports of both Zomato, Swiggy, and the indications that came in on from the war zone on New Year's Eve. How did you do?
No, touchwood, so happy and safe 2022 to you and everyone. So touchwood, we did quite well. Like 31st December. We did more than close to 20,000 orders on one day with our 60 outlets all over India. So, see, biryani is a great delivery category, and Biryani By Kilo is the leader in more than 25 cities in biryani and kebabs in India. So, having said that, of course, there is going to be pain in the next 2 months, and we all have to be careful. And of course, some of the reactions, like Riyaaz said, are knee-jerk. But I think there will be restrictions no matter what we say, not only at hospitality, but airlines, malls, I think most of the theaters, weddings, etc. So all I would say is we all have to act responsibly, and we have to take all the precautions as big companies here, and which Biryani By Kilo we are taking. We are at the forefront of, and the communication.
Yeah, of course.
And we have to do that. And see, the 2 million orders in Zomato and Swiggy, if I can say, also have to be seen in the light that they do 1.5 million orders on a normal weekend, right, on a Saturday or Sunday. So, and they, if I can get a bit technical, their monthly active users are 40, 50 million, and their daily active users are 10, 12, 14, 12 million on their apps. So 2 million is, given Indian population, is not such a high number also. And it need not be a zero-sum game. right? So finally, I think all the markets are, I think Zomato and Swiggy do per average user like 4.5 orders or 5 orders a month. And this is, we all eat like 190 to 100 meals a month. This all, I used to live in Singapore for 8 years. So these number of meals eaten out and delivered to home, the whole universe is going to really increase, especially in the tier one and the big cities. So I think a lot of times what does also happen, although in a very crude way and a cruel way, is that it also helps us. You know, there's a huge pain while COVID is there, but it also does help all of us to be more resilient, more lean in our businesses, more better communication with our customer. And finally, I hope the market grows if we are able to rise to the occasion and take the pain during these times and the customers do realize the companies who have taken preemptive and proactive measures in hygiene and quality and in safety and communication, it finally pays up. So I think we just have no option but
Right,
to
of
tighten the
course.
belt.
That's understood.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. So, when you had 75 crores of gross merchandise value by Zomato on 31st December 2020, that of course went up to 100 crore rupees this New Year's Eve. Now, this is of course according to information that has been put out on Twitter. You did 20,000 orders, you said, Vishal, for biryani, which was the number one biryani.
So of course, the number of biryani always is chicken Hyderabadi, and for vegetarians, it's the kathal biryani, the jackfruit biryani, and of course, we do very well in our kebabs and finning as well. So I think Touchwood biryani and kebab is a great delivery category, and we have always focused for last 6 years to give, and we have a very wide variety of biryanis as well. It's Hyderabad, not only chicken, mutton, jackfruit or paneer. It's Hyderabadi, Lucknowi, and Calcutta as well. So I think the people are loving the biryanis, and it's a one-pot meal. It's a celebratory meal. So I think Touchwood is doing quite well. But we all have to be very
Of course.
quite cautious for the next 2 months. Yeah.
On a lighter note, Riyaaz, is kathal biryani or is it palau?
Well, honestly, the difference between a biryani and a pulao is the use of masala. In many, kathal biryani is delicious. I actually love it. It's great to have. But of course, pulao is considered a higher art form because it has fewer masalas and the focus more is on the quality of meat. But having said that, I think biryani in India is definitely the king of dishes, and it is a celebrated dish. Never mind the snobs and the guys who pretend take up a high stand, but who doesn't love biryani? Biryani is delicious, and I don't even mind a paneer biryani as long as it's a biryani. So yeah.
So, Nayanara, if I can chip in there, see, biryani is something which is made in a closed vessel. So all the aromas and flavors are captured within, right? So, and so a lot of times people say like a vegetarian biryani is a pulao, but we at Biryani by Kilo cook our kathal or paneer or vegetable or chole biryani the same way we cook our chicken or mutton, in a way the process. So the flavors and the masalas, they are captured, the aromas. And of course, we deliver it in the same handi in which we dum cook it. So all the flavors are intact and the aromas. I think you have to eat it with your eyes and your feel and touch, everything also. And I think it's an experience when you open a handi, all the flavors and aromas coming out. So I think that's the difference.
Right.
So of course, a vegetarian kathal is also a biryani.
So Kabir, I want to come to you now. Kabir, I want to come to you now. We've of course seen, biryani becoming super, super hot on delivery platforms, and that's a trend that's been happening. Someone like Jubilant Foodworks has had to enter the biryani business. ITC is starting to deliver its biryani from Dum Cooked as well. But what I want to ask you also is, and back to business and away from food is, once again, the discoverability for all of you on the food aggregator apps is again going to become crucial, because while direct order is doing better, You as NRAI president, are you in talks with Zomato and Swiggy at all for that, that contentious topic of the commissions, for example? Very often, if they don't have delivery fleet, it's the restaurants which have to be using their own employees to deliver the food. We as consumers very often don't get to know all of that. So once again, when you folks do need these platforms, what's the way out?
No, so coming back to your original question, are we in touch with Zomato and Swiggy? The answer to that is yes. Are we engaging with them? The answer is yes. We still have open points, which are the macro sort of issues that have remained over the last 2.5, 3 years, which we are working on systematically. Unbundling of services is obviously important. Becoming hybrid in nature. And again, I'll give you a great example. On the 31st, many restaurants in Gurgaon, Delhi, and Bangalore and Bombay did not have riders available. What that means is that during the peak time, there were no riders available. So while Zomato and Swiggy were trying to complete their 2 million transactions or orders, which is what they've stated, there were many more that could have happened if the infrastructure sort of supported each other. And what that means is, if the hybrid model was allowed, I think we would have been able to, surpass those numbers as a business, hospitality-wise, and we would have had obviously not have to have dealt with customers waiting for long periods of time for food. So coming back to your point, we remain committed for all our members, and obviously to better the industry, proactively. And together. And, I actually picked up the phone and called up Mohit in Zomato the night of 31st, one to wish him, but then also to talk to him about the on-ground sort of information that I was receiving. So, so we were trying to keep in touch, trying to make sure that we were sort of, there were bottlenecks that were there. We were trying to inform him to make sure that people's issues were getting resolved as fast as they could. So we remain committed, and our relationship as two different bodies is not negative; it is positive, and we do depend on each other, because Zomato cannot be sort of where they are without restaurants. So I think they realize that, Swiggy realizes that we are integral to their success and to their operations. So and the way forward, in my opinion, is it needs to be where we listen to each other, and I think we're pushing for that, where, like I mentioned again, not to repeat myself, but the unbundling, the hybrid models, sort of the commissions being not sort of, extensive, they need to be rationalized. So I think when we solve these 3 points, these 3 larger points, I think you will see a more mature food business in India, which will be further accelerated with less burning of capital on both sides, and with a lot of togetherness.
Absolutely.
And Riyaaz, the other point that, is about data. So while you have 2 million order plus being placed on Zomato and Swiggy, the customers' data, the restaurants are not getting that. And that's what you folks really want, right? Insight into your own customers. What about that?
That's always been a bone of contention from the first time we started talking to Zomato and Swiggy. We do believe that when a customer orders from a restaurant, the customer is the restaurant's customer. He may be using Swiggy as a conduit or as a medium. However, the customer remains the restaurant's customer. And I think that's been a very important differential, that Swiggy and Zomato actively block data from the restaurants and try their very best to make sure that the restaurant never knows who they are selling their product to. And that is continuously a pain point. I think it is unfair, because this kind of blocking and this data masking can be used for very negative purposes. There is no transparency as to whether the orders are coming for the restaurant. If the customer is looking for a certain restaurant but is being directed to another restaurant, so data, there needs to be transparency when it comes to data, for sure. Otherwise, it will land up creating this hegemony, or this kind of almost duopoly, which tomorrow a customer could come wanting food from Mama Goto or from Biryani by the Kilo. But if Zomato or Swiggy choose to get into, and they are actively doing that, if they choose to get into their own brands, there's no guarantee that those orders will not be pushed towards their own brand. So this is definitely a pain point, and this is something that needs to be resolved. And hopefully, this has been we have complained about this to the competition overview, and they are taking note of it. And hopefully, in the new policy, there will be some action on this.
Let's see how all of that pans out. I'm going to end on a lighter note, which is when, Zomato and all of the others are betting on that people like me, our viewers, the consumer needs to get their doodh, sabzi, groceries, confectionery, stationery in 10 minutes. Vishal, for biryani, are Indians willing to wait 30, 40 minutes?
Oh, see, I think we say for good things, you have to wait. Good things come to them who wait. So we are very clear. We dum cook our handi biryani after the customer order comes. It takes us 25, 30 minutes. So we deliver in 45 to 90 minutes, depending on the customer. And we are saying biryani is not like pizza, which can be made fresh in 5, 7 or 8 minutes, or sandwich or burger. It is a special food with, like I said earlier, with aromas and flavors captured inside the handi. It's very hygienic, very safe, very delicious, and good. Again, I repeat, for good things, you have to wait. And that's what we believe. And the customers are voting for us. So I think I'll end with that.
So maybe Indians want everything in 10 minutes except for biryanis. But having said that, jokes aside, you had 7,000 orders a minute on Zomato and Swiggy. And as this panel has pointed out, there could have been many more had there been proper infrastructure. States also, many of them announced on December 31st and 30th, the various restrictions that came in play. Think a little bit about the F&B industry, the pain it has gone through. It's going to be a very tough act balancing how to prevent the pandemic from spreading more when the full population, the adult population, is not vaccinated. So clearly tough times remain for the F&B industry, and we at ET Now will be right on top of it. I'd like to thank all of my panelists for joining us today.
Thank you, Nayanara. Thank you.
Thank you.